What's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a P.U.N.K Zombie World deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck was actually suggested to me by one of my patrons, Awalt. And this deck is a really cool deck to be able to summon out all sorts of awesome boss monsters using your P.U.N.K engine and to control the field and the graveyard with Zombie World, turning everything into zombies. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit that bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name description every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. And definitely give Awalt some love down in the comments down below for suggesting such an awesome deck. So let's get straight on into this one, guys. So first off, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Doom King Baller Drought. This card is an amazing boss monster for zombies that if this card is in your graveyard and there's a field spell on the field, you can actually special summon this card to your side of the field during every standby phase, which is a really cool ability for this card to have. Plus, it also is a walking negate, which is amazing. We then play 3 copies of Unizombie. Unizombie is one of the best normal summons in the entire deck because this card is basically walking Foolish Burial, which is such a cool thing about this card, and this card is a great starter for the deck just to help you get your zombies into the graveyard. We then play just a single copy of Gozuki. Gozuki is a really good one-of in the deck because this card is kind of like your copy of Unizombie, that during your main phase you can send a zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard, which is a really cool ability just to have more cards to get your zombies into the graveyard. We then play a single copy of Changshi. Changshi is a great card to be able to summon off your copy of Glow Up Bloom, because this card is a great ability that during your main phase, you can send a zombie monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard, which is a great effect. So basically, if you special summon this card off your copy of Glow Up Bloom, you can send something like a copy of Doom King Baller Drought to the graveyard, so you can bring your copy of Doom King back to your side of the field during the following standby phase, basically getting 2 cards off of Glow Up Bloom. This card also has a great ability. If this card is banished, you can banish a zombie monster from the graveyard and special summon this card, but you place it on the bottom of the deck when it leaves the field, which is a great ability just to help you get another monster on your side of the field because this deck actually does banish cards with Ghost Fusion. We then play a single copy of Banshee. Banshee is a great one-of just to help you get to your copy of Zombie World. We then play a single copy of Glow Up Bloom. Glow Up Bloom is really good as a one-of in this build, but this card is really an amazing card because it has the ability, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from the grave and then add a level 5 or higher zombie monster from your deck to your hand. But if you control Zombie World on the field spell zone, you can actually special summon it from your deck instead, which is an amazing effect. Instantly get either your copy of Doom King or Changshi to your side of the field. And it's really amazing just to be able to get those cards out on your side of the field, but this card does lock you into zombie monsters for the rest of the turn after you use that ability. We then play 2 copies of Mizuki. Mizuki is great because you can manage this card from your graveyard to actually special summon a zombie back to your side of the field, which is a great ability just to instantly get a zombie back to your side of the field, basically being Monster Reborn in this build, which is just super good. We then play a single copy of Ghost Sleeper. Ghost Sleeper is an amazing one-of in this particular build because this card actually searches out Ghost Fusion, because if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add Ghost Fusion from your deck to your hand, which is the main effect we're going to be using on this card to be able to send it to the graveyard off of cards like Unizombie or Gozuki, so that we can actually search out our Ghost Fusion to go in for some really cool plays. We then play 3 copies of P.U.N.K Xiamen. This card is a definite 3-of in the build just to help us get our life points a little lower so we can use Ghost Fusion, and it also lets us add a copy of a P.U.N.K monster from our deck to our hand by paying 600 life points, which is a great ability. Plus this card is level 3, so you can summon it off of Emergency Teleport, which is really good. We then play a single copy of Shirakusai. Shirakusai is really good as a one-up for your P.U.N.K engine because this card is a walking polymerization, which is a really cool effect by just paying 600 life points. We then play a single copy of Deer Note. Deer Note's really good in this particular build because it has a great ability that you can reveal one other P.U.N.K monster in your hand to special summon either this revealed monster or that card and send the other to the graveyard. And if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, which is the effect you're usually going to use on this card, you can actually target a P.U.N.K monster in your graveyard except a level 5 monster, which meaning this card, and special summon it to your side of the field, which is a great effect to be able to instantly get that card onto your side of the field. For example, summoning out your copy of Foxy Tune. We then play 3 copies of Foxy Tune. Foxy Tune is an amazing 3-of in this particular build. This card helps out so much because you can send this card and another card from your hand to the graveyard to special summon out a punk monster from your deck. Being able to summon out your copy of Xiamen or your copy of Shirakusai or even Deer Note to your side of the field, which is just amazing. Plus, it helps you get your zombies into the graveyard if you have them in your hand. For example, if you have cards like Mizuki in your hand, you can send it to the graveyard with your copy of Foxy Tune to be able to use it to summon out your copy of Xiamen or Deer Note, which is just such a cool effect about this card. This card is a definite 3-of in the build and just helps out so much to help you get additional monsters on the field. We then play 2 copies of Ogre Dance. Ogre Dance is really good as a 2-of in the build because this card can actually search out your copies of your punk monsters, which is really good for this card to be able to do. And I love that about this card because it has a great ability. You can send this card from your hand or field to the grave, and then a punk monster from your deck to your hand except a level 8 monster, which is really good about this card to instantly get to your copies of anything like a copy of Shirakusai or Xiamen. We then play a single copy of Psychic Tracker. Psychic Tracker is definitely a 1-of to be able to use in this particular build because you can actually use this card in a combo because you can search it out from the deck, which is really amazing. And if you control a level 3 monster, you can actually special summon this card to your side of the field. We then play 2 copies of Assault Synchron. Assault Synchron is definitely a 2-of in the build because it's so easy to put this card on your side of the field. Because during your main phase, you can special summon this card from your hand, then you take 700 points of damage. And also while it's on your side of the field, you can't go in for anything except Synchro monsters, but it's very easy to get off the field to be able to go in for Synchro plays. So this card is really good in the deck as a 2-of because it just makes it so easy to Synchro summon in this build. And this card is great in the deck as a 2-of. You don't really want to play 3 because it does brick a little bit at 3, but it's really good as a 2-of in the deck. We then finally play just 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom's a definite 3-of in the build just to stop your opponent from basically touching the deck and searching cards, which is a great hand trap to be able to use in this build. Plus, it's a zombie. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Foolish Burial. Foolish Burial is a definite 1-of in the build, just to help you get the exact card you need in the graveyard, especially since we're playing zombies. We then play a single copy of Ghost Fusion. You only need 1 copy of this card because we only have a few targets in the extract that you can actually summon off this card, but it's really good because it lets you fusion summon a fusion monster from your extract using only zombie monsters that you control as material. Also, if your life points are lower than your opponents, you can also banish up to 1 zombie monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard as material, which is a great effect to be able to banish your copy of your Changshi so you can bring it back to your side of the field directly from your deck. I love that about this card, and it makes Changshi such a powerful combo piece in this particular build. But this card is really easy to resolve because all of our punk monsters between our copy of Shirakusai and Xiamen actually make us pay life points, so this card is very easy to resolve because we are going to have less life points than our opponent because we're using punk cards. So this card is amazing to be able to use in the build to fusion summon into some amazing cards. We then play a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is really good because this card basically stops our opponent from hand trapping us while we're going in for all of our plays. We then play 3 copies of Emergency Teleport. Emergency Teleport is great as a 3-of because this card actually gets our copy of Xiamen onto our side of the field extremely easily. So this card is really good in this particular build just to be able to activate without even wasting our normal summon and get Xiamen onto your side of the field. So you can use its ability to search out Foxy Tune and then use it with another card in your hand to summon out Deer Note from the deck and then go in for a level 8 synchro play, usually Jam Dragon Drive, which is really cool. We then play 3 copies of Super Polymerization. Super Polymerization is a great board breaker this format. We play a couple of really good targets in the extract to be able to use with this card. This card is just amazing in any Zombie World deck because it works really well with Zombie World because this turns everything into zombies and also lets us summon out Dragon Necro Nethersoul Dragon, which is a really powerful boss monster that we can summon using Super Polymerization and any 2 of our opponent's monsters while we have Zombie World on the field, making it a very good board breaker in this particular deck. And it's just a really awesome card overall. You can play other cards in this card's position instead of Super Polymerization like Imperm because we're not playing Imperm in this build, but you can change it out if you want to. But I feel like this is one of the best board breakers of this format and is a really awesome card overall in this build. So That's it for the main deck, guys. We don't play any traps in this build. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start out with a P.U.N.K card, and it's going to be a P.U.N.K Amazing Dragon. This card is crazy powerful. You can basically bounce multiple cards off the field, which is such a cool ability about this card. And it also has a really cool ability that if this card's on your side of the field, you can actually target a P.U.N.K monster in your graveyard, accept a copy of Amazing Dragon, and special summon it. But you can only use either or this card's effect once per turn, so you either bounce cards off the field, or you use this card as a walking monster born. This is actually one of my favorite cards in the entire game for the artwork alone. We then play a single copy of Psychic in Punisher. Psychic in Punisher is definitely a one-of in this build because this card gets really big. It's very hard for your opponent to deal with because it's massive, and also it has a really cool ability that while your life points are less than or equal to your opponent's, this synchro summon card is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. Plus comes out at 3,500, so it's very hard for your opponent to deal with if they have to go over it. And plus, it gains attack points equal to the difference between yours and your opponent's life points during the battle phase, which is insane. This card is really amazing in this particular build. We then play a single copy of Chaos Angel. Chaos Angel is actually very easy to summon in this particular build, and it's an awesome banish that you can basically, when it's summoned, banish a card off the field. Plus, if you put Light and Dark into this card, it basically becomes invincible, which is a crazy powerful thing about this card, and it's pretty easy to do in this build, especially since you have cards like Assault Synchron and Foxy Tune to be able to use to make this card. We then play a single copy of Red Eyes Zombie Dragon Lord. This card is basically like Call of the Haunted during your opponent's turn, which is really good, because during your opponent's turn, a quick effect, you can actually target a zombie monster in your graveyard, except another guy with this card, and special summon it. And if this card is in your graveyard, you can manage a zombie monster that you control to special summon this card, so it can constantly bring itself back. We then play a single copy of Baron de Fleur. Baron de Fleur is a great walking negate to make in any synchro deck, and this card is really, really good in this particular build. Play a single copy of Skeletal Dragon Felgrand. Felgrand is great in this particular build because if this card is special summon, you can target one monster that your opponent controls or in the graveyard and banish it, which is a great ability. We then play a single copy of Jam Dragon Drive. I love this card just for the name alone. The artwork is amazing, but it's a great card to summon out because if this card is special summoned by the effect of a P.U.N.K card or its synchro summon, you can pay 600 life points to take a level 3 psychic monster from your deck and either add it to your hand or send it to the grave, which is great to be able to search out your copy of Psychic Tracker to be able to then special summon it out later, which is such a cool thing about this card, and it's a great card to be able to play in this build. We then play a single copy of Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon. Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon is a definite one-of in the build because it's super easy to summon to your side of the field and works great with your copy of Assault Synchron to help you step into cards like your copies of Baron de Fleur. We then play a single copy of Immortal Dragon. Immortal Dragon is just great in this particular build because it helps us get our cards into the graveyard, because during your main phase, you can actually send a zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, this card's level becomes the difference in the original levels of that monster and this card, which is great to be able to send cards like Ghost Sleeper to the graveyard so you can search out stuff like Ghost Fusion, or even send cards like Banshee to the graveyard so you can get to your copy of your zombie world. We then play a single copy of the Zombie Vampire. This card is super easy to summon with 2 level 8s and mills 4 off of the both players' decks, which is crazy. And then if a monster was sent to the graveyard, you can special summon it to your side of the field, making this card a definite one-of in the build. We then play a single copy of Beatrice. Beatrice is a great Foolish Burial for the deck, plus we do play level 6s, so this card is very easy to make. Play a single copy of Rising Carp. Rising Carp is great to get the exact P.U.N.K monsters you want on your side of the field, because you can trigger this fusion summon card and then special summon it to 2 P.U.N.K monsters with different names from each other from your hand and or deck, except level 8 monsters, making it very easy to put cards like Deerno, Shirakusai, well, you're going to use Shirakusai to make this card, or being able to summon out different cards to your side of the field. This card is really good as a one-of in the build. We then play a single copy of Dragon Necro Nethersoul Dragon. This card is an amazing card to be able to play in this deck as a one-of, because you can use Super Poly to make this card. We then play a single copy of Garua. Garua is very good in this particular build because you can make this with Ghost Fusion, you can make this card with Super Polymerization, you can make it any which way you want to, making it a very good card in this particular build, plus it's one of the best Super Poly targets in the game. We then play a single copy of Mud Dragon. Mud Dragon is also a great card to be able to play in this particular build as a Super Poly target, but the amazing thing about these cards is you can actually summon out your cards like Dragon Necron the Other Soul, your copy of Garua, or Mud Dragon off of your copy of Ghost Fusion, because it just requires you to use basically zombie monsters to summon them out to your side of the field, making it very easy to be able to make any of these cards on your side of the field, which is just super cool. Plus, they double as super poly targets, making it very good to be able to play in this build. So, that's going to do it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. This deck is super fun to be able to play with. If you guys have never played P.U.N.K Zombie World before, you should definitely give this deck a try. P.U.N.K just works really well in a lot of different decks, especially Zombie World, being able to work with Ghost Fusions. Like, they made Ghost Fusion just to work with P.U.N.K because you pay life points, which is really cool. So, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of Notification Squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.